I feel like a conversation a lot of people don't want to have and aren't ready to have yet is how misunderstood and misrepresented feminism is. Like, one, there's this whole trend on social media of my man better pay for this for me and pay for that for me, and he better do this and that for me because it's girl power, princess treatment, feminism, whatever. It's not feminism, and it's actually not women empowerment. It's misogyny repackaged into a pink sparkly bow, because you are perpetuating the idea that a woman must be dependent on a man for resources, for means of living. That being said, you are allowed to have preferences in a relationship. You're allowed to prefer a man who will pay for you, or you're allowed to prefer a man who's rich, but don't put it under this disguise of feminism and girl power, because it's not. If you were a feminist, you would not believe that it's a man's role to provide for you. You would believe that you are supposed to provide for yourself and you can be independent as a woman. But again, don't get me wrong, I like when someone treats me out for dinner. I like when someone pays for me, but I won't expect it. I won't say that it's their obligation, it's their role. A lot of people are going to call me a pick-me or hate on me for saying this, but I go into all my dates expecting to pay for half the bill. Whether or not they decide to pay for the full thing is up to them, but I will not hold it against them if they want to split the bill. Another thing is feminism and how it's misrepresented through publications and social media. We'll get a very accomplished and empowered woman, will paint her face in makeup, put her in a flashy outfit, retouch her face, cinch her waist in on Photoshop, make her tits bigger, call her a girl boss, and the day is done. That's feminism for the day. The same thing that happened 50 years ago, 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 60 years ago, etc., except this time we're calling her a girl boss, and so it's feminism. No, we're again just supporting misogynistic systems under the idea of, oh, feminism. Here's an example. This is Michael Phelps. He's a legend in the Olympics. We all know who Michael Phelps is. And of course, his magazine covers are showing his merit, are showing his accomplishments. And we go to Simone Biles, and yes, we do have some of her in gymnastics, but then the first two that pop up are her in a dress, her in makeup. It supports this idea that a woman needs to be beautiful, needs to be all done up just to be taken seriously. But of course, she is allowed to feel beautiful. She's allowed to look beautiful. I'm not saying she isn't. But the fact that these are the first few images that come up when you search Simone Biles magazine cover compared to Michael Phelps magazine cover says a lot.
She had me in the first half, and then she completely lost me. I was rocking with her. The first half, I'm sitting here like, she's cooking. And then she started with this Simone Biles nonsense, and I'm like, okay, you lost me. Let me get off this train to Cuckooville. To her first point, I agree 1,000%. If you are a feminist, then you have no business out here thinking that a man is gonna pay for a goddamn thing. If you are a true feminist, then that means equal is equal is equal. Meaning the man doesn't have a specific role, neither do you. And y'all just kind of go with the flow, and you could do either or. So if you are claiming to be a feminist, and you're also out here saying that men are required to pay for dates, basically telling them they have a gender role, but somehow you don't have a gender role, men have a gender role where they have to do all these different things for you, but you don't have a gender role, understand, you're full of it. You're not a real feminist. You're just using feminism to hide, right? You're using your feminism to kind of chin check men and try to shame men to get what you want. It's not going to work here, honey. Okay, we're going to clock it every single time. I agree with her in that first half. Abso-freaking-lutely. These feminists, these so-called cosplaying feminists, they get on my nerves because they'll say all this girl boss stuff. We can do everything a man can do. We don't need no man, but then they're requiring that a man pays for everything. Well, honey, newsflash, you do need a man, okay? If you're requiring that he pays for everything, that is you needing that man. And I do want to give some pushback to some of what she said in the first point. You know, this whole idea of an independent woman, let's be so for real, you're not ever going to be independent of a man. It doesn't work that way. The roads you drive on, the cars you drive on the said roads, the buildings you live in, literally every facet of your life is created and maintained by a man. You are not independent of a man, okay? There is some man that you probably don't know that has worked really hard to make sure that you have a cushy life where you can cosplay as independent. I did it on my own. I did it by myself. There is a bunch of men that laid the groundwork for you to even be able to do that, for you to even be able to say that, okay? So let's make sure we put some respect on men's name, just like we need to put respect on the names of all the women that have birthed the people of the earth. Well, maybe not all the women. Some of these women out here are trash, but feminists are weird. They might say some things where I'm like, okay, I understand where you're coming from. You know, if you're a feminist, then you shouldn't be expecting a man to pay for the date. You should go in 50-50, going Dutch. And then they'll say crazy things like, there's something wrong with Simone Biles wearing a dress on the cover. What if she wanted to wear the dress on the cover? That's the part. These feminists, they like to push their ideology and the way they feel about things onto the rest of the women. You're not being oppressed by men. Now you're being oppressed by other women who think they know better than you, who think that they can tell you when your femininity is being misused or how you should present as a feminine woman, or it's too much. Too overbearing. Y'all want to be the oppressors of other women now. You're upset. You don't want men to be the ones overseeing us because you want that job of overseeing us and telling us what to do. How do you know she didn't ask to wear that dress, or that she didn't have any kind of role in how she was presented in that magazine cover? Like, it's just so weird. Like, I'm not gonna look at a cover of Simone Biles in a dress and then just lose my shit and get mad and just like, it's weird. You're thinking way too deep into that. I understand, you know, that trope of like, oh, boss chick, but it's still, I guess, the male gaze with the tits up and all that other stuff. I understand that. But as far as like just calling out women like Simone Biles because it's not all athletic, she might just want to be pretty and wear a pretty dress. Like, it doesn't have to be this deep, okay? But weirdos like this, they make everything deep. They read into literally everything and don't read enough into other things. Like not reading enough into how men keep this system going to let you be independent. You know, didn't read into that, but we're gonna analyze, we're gonna hyper analyze. Oh my God, Simone Biles, she's wearing a dress, you got. Like, shut the hell up. This is so nonsensical.
Why can't we just celebrate her based off her merit without having to highlight her beauty and her femininity? She's an insane athlete and she needs to be recognized as such. It's all these ideas of my man better pay for me and also different things like that, like the magazine cover, that's causing people to have pushback on feminism because they think it's useless. And it's not. I think feminism is still very much needed in today's society. It's just so misunderstood and so misrepresented that people are starting to resent it because it's seen as abusing the power of oppression. People are seeing feminism as, oh yeah, we were oppressed back in the 1950s, so now you have to give me everything I want. That's not what feminism is. Okay, thank you, bye.
And that's how a lot of them think. They think because some stuff happened back then that you're owed everything now, and that's nonsensical. But I do want to go back to that point about Simone Biles, because the more she talked, the worse it got. How is her being presented in a dress, how is that taking away from her being accomplished? It's almost like you guys view anything that's feminine as like weak or less than, in opposition to. Her being in the dress doesn't mean that she's not being acknowledged for her accomplishments. Even if we're looking at these images, she's literally doing something athletic here with her leg kicked up in the air like that. I would like to see all of us try to do that. The most my legs will come to about right here. Let's be so for real. Even with this is showing her athleticism. Even in this beautiful dress, you're seeing all the lines in her muscles. It's still showcasing her athleticism. Just because she's not doing a pose like this, it doesn't mean that you're not highlighting that she's an athlete or that she's accomplished for being an athlete. It's like you're seeing the dress and you can't get past that. It's like anything that's feminine. This goes back to what I'm saying. These broads, they put everything that's feminine as like something negative. It's so weird. They see something that is inherently feminine or inherently for women and they're just like, oh my God, like, no, why can't you just like a man? And it's like, it doesn't have to be like a man to be valuable. Her being on the cover in that beautiful dress is still valuable. It's not taking away from her accomplishments. It's not shifting the focus from her accomplishments, because anyone looking at that, first of all, they're gonna know that that's Simone Biles. And second of all, they're gonna know it's Simone Biles. Stop it. That is a very accomplished woman. You'd have an argument if she was sitting there like, you know, some ooh-woo type of broad, you know, with the tits pushed up and out there for every man to see, and, you know, her booty popping out and doing something that's overtly sexual. You would have an argument there. But with these images, it's not eaten the way you think it's eaten. Y'all create problems out of thin air. It's insane. And then you wonder why people look at y'all crazy. So sis, while you're over here at the end of your commentary, let me go to her face. While you're over here trying to chin check everybody else for making feminists look crazy, girl, you're doing it too. The call is coming from inside the insane asylum. Okay, insane asylum, did I say that right? The call is coming from inside the insane asylum, and it's for you. But I am curious to hear you guys' thoughts down below. How do you feel about this whole situation? Do you agree with her where it's like, yeah, feminism is being misrepresented, and oh my god, why is Simone Biles in a dress? Or you think like me where it's like, yeah, girl, it's you. You're the one making feminists look crazy. I am curious to hear you guys' thoughts down below. If you like the content, the more you interact with it, the more it gets pushed out into the algorithm. Also, follow me on my main channel. I'll have that linked in the description. Thank you guys so much, and I will see y'all with the next one. Deuces.